Hello, hello. Okay. Just wait one more minute, see if anyone else wants to join us. I'm trying to decide if I need to zoom in a little more. I needed to be able to, I had this turn, it's turned funny, I'm sorry, but it was just too close up here. I wasn't gonna be able to get stitches in, and actually that might be even too close for that top. I'm gonna change my mind. Good morning. We'll just start. Let's start down here. Okay, then we can get a little closer. Hello. A little bit more light. Okay, so today we're gonna satin stitch. We have a lot of satin stitching to do. It might take us 2 days. I think it'll take us 2 days. Because we've got like the whole house, like over here, here. This, the porch, up here, like so much satin stitching. I'm sorry. It's gonna be a lot, so prepare yourself. Okay, satin stitching. So we're gonna do our house colors. So I'm gonna do BLANC and 05. So whatever your main color is gonna be, that's what we're using today. Hang on. Roman, stop kicking the wall. Okay. So whatever you're using for the main part of your house, that's what we're gonna satin stitch with. So, okay, so I've talked about it before, but I'm gonna talk about it again. If you have your skeins of thread, you wanna find the end with the number, and I'm gonna pull 3 times. This is kind of a lot of thread. So if you're like brand new, you might only want to pull it twice, or if you're experienced and you know how much you like to use, do that. But with satin stitching, you use so much thread. I like to have a little bit of extra. So I'm going to do the same for the white. Pull that 3 times. And then I'm going to line these up because I want to make sure that they're the same length, because I'm going to mix threads. So then I can cut this right here. These scissors are not embroidery scissors. I couldn't find any, so I just got those scissors. Okay, so what we're going to do, depending on how puffy, how thick you want your fabric or your thread, I'm going to go with, this is an 8-inch hoop, and I'm going to go with 6 strands. But if you want to do 4, you totally can. It'll make your stitches lay a little bit flatter, a little bit smoother. 6 is going to be a little bit chunkier. So if you're using like a 7-inch or smaller, you could totally do less. Okay, so we're going to pull our threads apart because we're only going to use half of these. So what we're going to do is grab these 3. So we've got 3 and 3 because these come in 6 strands. Kind of pull it apart like this. These are twisted together. So by holding them apart with one hand and then sliding your finger down these, it will untwist. So then we can pull those apart. I know some people just pull one thread out at a time. You can do it like that as well. This is how I do it till we get to the end. Okay, so we're gonna take 3 of the 05 And then we're gonna do 3 of the white, and we'll put both colors in our needle at the same time. If it starts to get twisted up, just smooth it out. Okay, so we'll put the other 3 to the side and we'll use them next time we need thread in our needle. Okay, so put these together. When I'm threading a needle, I wet the end with my tongue and then I flatten this out with my finger and thumb. And then they need to be a little bit more wet. Flatten them and then they usually just slide right in. But people are watching, so of course it's not gonna be that easy. I need to catch up, but so excited. Yes. Day 1, you're not behind yet. And if you have questions while I'm talking, I have my iPad up so I can see your questions, so feel free to ask. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna, whoop, I didn't pull all of them. Oh, shoot. Okay, hang on now. I'm gonna thread this again, but off camera so that people aren't staring at me, making me nervous. Okay, so we're gonna pull this so we have a shorter tail, so we have a little bit less to work with. It'll just make it easier to maneuver. And then I just tie a knot at the end. There's like fancy ways to do knots at the end. I'm not fancy. I just do this. I usually double knot. But that's it, just tie a knot at the end. Okay, so I always try to keep my knots on the insides. Like I don't wanna start here because then I'll have a knot like hanging over the edge and I don't wanna be able to see that when I'm done stitching. So I always try to start in the middle somewhere. Let's see, where do we want to start? Should we start here on the tower? I think that sounds good. Okay. So satin stitch. For satin stitch, what we want to do is we're just going to do 1 straight stitch. It's meant to look satiny, smooth. You're going to use a lot of thread with satin stitch because to make it, like if we go up right here, I don't feel like there's enough thread like from here to my needle to keep it secure. So what we do is we go back over here. We're gonna go right next to our other stitch. And then we're gonna go down over here again. So then it's gonna look the same on the back as it does on the front. So we have, I mean, it'll be like a little bit different because it's at an angle, but that's what we're gonna do all the way up. When I'm working on Ada, I don't usually do a proper satin stitch because the Ada fabric, like cross stitch fabric that's got the holes, has a little bit of different structure to it. So I feel like I can, I don't have to go all the way over. So just make sure you are staying on your lines. We will do some edging. So if they're not perfect, don't stress about it. Don't take it out if it's not perfect, because we will fix it with when we do like details. Because we'll put like a stuff. So how do you feel about railroading the satin stitch? Do you mean like going here and then like going here? Like this? I've never heard of railroading with satin stitching. I do railroading with cross stitch. Okay, so once we get a little closer to our windows, I'm just gonna do one more. And then we're gonna go over here and do up the side of the window. And then the same thing here, we're gonna put like window panes on. So if if your stitches aren't perfect, like on the window pane, don't stress about it, because we're gonna cover it up. Maybe this won't take as long as I thought. I mean, it will. I always think that. I'm like, oh, this won't take long. Do you see how it's kind of white and brown? Kind of that dirty white. Hi from South Africa. Hello, hello. You are far away from me. What time is it there? I'm guessing like 5 o'clock. So if you're doing this and it feels like you've missed some spot, like if your stitches are not close enough together, you can always go back and like put another one in. So whoop, go in here and then go down right there. I'm not super concerned about this being like really smooth because it's siding and siding has texture. So if you're wanting to make sure it's really smooth, this will start to get twisted. Do you see how it twists up? So once you get to the back side, I'll sometimes just like let my needle fall and it'll like untwist like a phone, you know, like an old phone cord. Who had those dangly, those like curled phone cords? You know how sometimes you just have to let them like hang and untwist? Same with your needle. So if you're feeling like it's looking too, like it was getting kind of chunky right here because it was all twisted up. So just go ahead and let that out. See how fast that this thread went? It went really fast. Because our back side is going to be having just as much thread as the front. That's why we needed 2 of this color, because we will use a lot of thread on this house. Or at least I was worried that we were going to run out, so. I'd rather you have too much than not enough, and you can have another project. Okay. Whoa. So what we're gonna do is, my needle went down here. I'm just gonna come right here in between the windows and go back down. We're running out of thread. Maybe 1 or 2 more. That popping noise is good. It means my fabric is real tight. Okay, So I'm going to tie this off, and then we'll get a new thread. So do you see how the back has just as much thread? So I'm just going to grab a piece that's on there already and just tie a knot. These scissors are not sharp enough. Okay. All right, so I've got my other two that are 3 and 3. Oops. Now I've got a knot. What, honey? Hang on, I've got a knot in this. There we go. Okay. Let's see if I can thread this needle a little faster. Okay. Then we're just gonna tie a little knot. Getting hot in my sweater. Okay. Okay, so the only problem is I don't want to put a knot here because we're not really going to fill in our windows completely. So I don't want a knot hanging out here. So I'm going to start here just so my knot can be right here, and then I'll come back and do this. There we go. Actually, I'm gonna do this side first. No, that's fine. Okay. I've got this big long string again. It'll be gone before we know it. Okay, so after I finish this part of the tower, I'm gonna move to another section of the house. I'm not gonna stitch this entire thing on video. You're gonna have to do a little bit of homework this time around because this satin stitch will just take way too long for us to be live for the entire thing. But I'm gonna go over a few different spots just so you can see how we're gonna do it in the different spots. Like over here, it'll be like at an angle so that we can see that that's like the side of the house instead of like the front of the house. But I gotta finish this first. I'm planning on about an hour every day of stitching live. And then you'll have a little bit of homework. So I'm hoping I can keep up and do my homework with you. But Mondays are my errand day, so I don't know if I'll get to it today. I'll get to all of it. We'll just see when it happens. Okay, so there's one side. We're gonna go back up the other, and then we'll finish just to this part. Some people find satin stitch easier if they have like lines as guides. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed with all of this, go ahead and like draw some lines, like some straight lines across. So you keep your angle right. If you start getting like, so it's not so straight, it's maybe like up at an angle a little bit, then just do like, put this in really close, whatever way you need it to go, either this one up, like if your angle is going like this and you need it to straighten out, then do this side up a little bit and make your angle down a little bit, like slowly. No, don't do like one drastic one, but then you can kind of like even it out. I'll let you know if I start noticing mine, and I'll show you what I mean if that didn't make sense. See how mine is starting to angle up a little bit? So I'm going to do this one a little bit higher, not too high. You don't want it to like leave a gap, but, and then this side go down a little bit to kind of straighten that out. Do you see that? How that one was kind of up and that one's more straight? It's kind of hard to see, but if you start to notice that, there is a way to fix it. Almost back to the top. Kind of tedious satin stitch, but it looks so good. Okay, so hello, welcome. We'll do something a little bit more fun on Wednesday, I promise. Hope those ones were too far apart to go one in between them. All right. Okay. I don't want to bring my needle clear over here. And so we're just going to do one this way. We're just going to go up a little bit. I will have to catch up later. You're good. This one's going to have homework today, so don't worry about being a little bit behind. And I won't be live on weekends, so you'll have weekends to like completely catch up. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. We are going to satin stitch the rest of the way up, but stop right here because we're gonna do a different stitch in this area. So don't, homework, I know, I'm sorry. So we're just gonna go to the edge of this tower and then leave this part open because we're gonna do something different in here. So just up to the top of this curved line here. And then stop. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is move over to here to the side of the house. So I ended here. I'm just gonna come down here a little bit and we're gonna do this at a little bit of an angle. So instead of going like straight across, we're gonna go up a little bit because this is at an angle. So if it's gonna be easier for you, you can draw lines in. You don't want it to get it too far of an angle. Like, we don't want to get too crazy. Just a little bit so that we can, oh, see, mine's already getting a little crazy. So I'm gonna go up a little bit further than I normally would have, and I'm gonna go down right next to this one to kind of even that out a little bit. I'm gonna do that one again because it's still a little bit more of an angle than I want. Okay. Almost to the end of this thread already. Let's see. That's a little bit too far. I think we'll tie it off after this one. Okay. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Just grab one of these. Ouch. Tie a little knot. Okay. And then we need to get some more thread out. Line them up. And we're gonna do the same thing, separate these. Come on, there we go. Okay. What time is it? 10:30. We still got some time. Okay. Cut my knot. Okay. We're just gonna finish this up real quick and then we'll move over to the other side. Oops. And because I've got two knots right here, I've got a bunch of thread ends. You can kind of see them poking out a little bit. Once I'm a little bit further away, I can just get on the back and pull those extra threads out, like pull them back to the back. Sometimes if I have a really long thread, I'll hold on to it so it doesn't get like knotted up. Like in the back, it kind of gets stuck sometimes because it all tries to go through at the same time. On the front, it's a little bit easier to like control it. I jumped on a bit late. Which color are you using? This is white, which is, I use the BLANC white. There's a couple different shades of white, but this one's BLANC and 05. Right there. And then I'm using 3 of each color in the same needle. But you could also use 4. Just use 2 of each or any other mixture you want. 6 is just gonna be a little bit chunkier. 4 will lay a little bit smoother. So depending on how you want that to look, you're welcome. And then I always put in my description on the videos when I upload them to IGTV, I'll put what we used. Okay, so we're all the way up the side. Right here, I'm just gonna pull that extra thread out. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna keep it at this angle now. So that's a little bit of a steep angle. So I'm gonna, it's not gonna be quite that steep of an angle. So instead of going up here, I'm gonna come like right here. And then we want to stay on this line here. Okay, I'm going to do one more above the window. We're just going to try and keep that same angle that we have above on the side of the window. Getting there. Anybody have any fun plans for this Monday? I am going to run errands. Saturday was kind of wet and drizzly, so I didn't really go anywhere, but I need to go to Target and Joann's and Costco and maybe Natural Grocers if I have time. Stop and get me some Chick-fil-A for lunch. I love Chick-fil-A. This is getting a little wonky. Oops. Here's the thing. This is a haunted house. It's okay if things are a little crazy. That's what my motto is going to be. Okay. While I'm right here, I'm just going to come down here and finish this little edge right here that was at an angle. Okay, I'm going to come back up here, keep that angle. Sometimes I'll like lay this out and say like, okay, is that where I want it to go? Do I want it down a little bit more, up a little bit more? So then I can kind of be like, okay, that's where I want it. And then it's easier to follow that same direction once I already have something down. Oops, those were kind of far apart. I'm gonna have to do one in between them. Okay. And then we'll go back up, and then I'm gonna let you do this part on your own. So we're gonna come, we're gonna do, I don't know, hold on, let me think about it. Okay, we wanna keep this same angle, because it's all the same part of the house. I didn't draw this line very straight. Thanks. Looks so good. It's gonna be good. I started stitching a really tiny house just because I wanted to see how things would look, and it was not looking good. It was just too small. I was just gonna do like a little 5-inch, and I just couldn't. It was so messy. I was like, okay, this is not worth my time. I knew we'd be fine once we got a bigger space to work with. This is like super chunky. I'm liking how it's looking. See, I have this single thread that's like hanging out. So I'm just gonna like smooth it gently. See if I can tuck it under these other threads. It's starting to bug me. Starting to get kind of straight there. Make one at an angle so we can keep that going how we want it. Now I'm just thinking about Chick-fil-A. I want a frozen lemonade. I just really like their chicken, dang it. And I kind of like that I can just put whatever sauce I want on it. Like they don't, I like that they don't put sauce on their sandwiches. Okay, got one more. Okay. Yeah. There's that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna let you finish these two by yourself. This third one, we're gonna do a separate color. So don't do this part yet. So just do right below these two and then right above this, okay? And then I'll post it. Yes, the lemonade, it's so good. I'll post in my stories like what you need to finish or what I'm gonna plan on finishing myself before tomorrow. Sorry, my 4-year-old was making a funny noise. So check my stories later and I'll remind you like what to finish. So we're gonna come up here and we're gonna do a satin stitch, but vertical instead of horizontal. So let me tie this off and we'll just do those 3 sections today. And then we'll call it a day. And then we'll do like the porch and stuff, like the front of the house tomorrow. Okay. I normally start at the top, but I'm gonna have to take this out to be able to do the top. So I'm gonna start at the bottom. Roman, stop it. Weirdo. Okay. So we're just gonna tie this off. We've already got it in our needle. I love that. Okay. So we're just gonna do the same thing, but we're just gonna do it vertical all the way across. And then same here. So we're just gonna do it straight across there. So now this part, this very bottom part, so I went in when I was, gosh, I have strings stuck to me. Hold on. So I drew these in when I was tracing. So if you were part of that video, it ended here, this part of the roof. So this down here is gonna be rafters. So don't do this first part down here, right here. That's gonna be like some rafters. So leave that alone and just start at this first one. So I went in and drew just like some slats. They can be, if you want to keep them like, oops, that's not straight. If you want to, like mine are like, this one's a little bit wider, like this one's a little bit skinnier. So feel free to like mess with it how you want to. You can just do 2 or 3. You can do 5 or 6. Doesn't really matter depending on how you want to do it. So I would draw lines in there just so that you have like a guide. I'm not planning on doing any stitching between. So like we'll just do this next part and then there will be no stitching between. Like I said over here, if you mess up these lines, we're gonna like cover it up. We won't be doing that here. So practice over here first because we'll cover these up and then do this so that you kind of can see how you're doing with satin stitch. Keep these on the line as much as you possibly can so it stays straight. But also, it's a haunted house. So if it's not straight, no one's gonna be like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? No one's gonna care about that. Plus, once it's all done, it's really hard to see like if things aren't perfect. So we are not striving for perfection. This is supposed to be fun. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here just so I can do this next part up, just so you can see what it's gonna look like, because I'm not gonna do this whole thing on the video. I'm gonna be on maybe like 10 or 15 more minutes. So I ended down here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go right here and do satin stitch up. Okay, so you could use these same holes from the other one so they like butt right up against each other. Is it the same color? Yeah, it's the same color. So you could change colors. You could make this a little bit darker. You could make it a little bit lighter. But I'm just going to use the same color, like as if it were the same siding, just this siding's going this way and this siding's going this way. And it's just fun to have a little bit of different texture. We don't want it all to be that same horizontal satin stitch because we like texture. See, that one's already off. I'm just gonna bring it back up to the line. But if you use these same holes that you were using before, then you won't have like a funny gap. It'll look a little bit more seamless, so. Hang on. Okay, so we have a knot. Remember, I came down right here. So I've got a knot right there. So I'm just gonna use my finger in the back to kind of push it out of the way. Whoop. So you kind of have to remember where you put your knots. So I want to use this same hole, but again, that's right where I started. So I've got that knot. So I'm just gonna like hold it with my fingernail and just like pull it out of the way. So I can use that same hole and then we won't run into that problem anymore because now we're done with that area until we start a new thread. Okay, so do you see how we're gonna do that? This is starting to be in the shadows if I do another row. So I think I'll just come back down here and finish this row. Because I don't really want to be working in the shadows. So I'm gonna finish, I'll finish a lot of this off camera because it's gonna be hard to see. So when we do this like peak, I'll flip it around so it's like the wrong way. So that we can stitch that and you can see it. What do we think? Are we excited? Are you going to be so sick of Satin Stitch? I promise we'll have more fun on other days. We're gonna do basket weave and brick stitch and Van Dyke stitch and more brick stitch. Totally excited. Yay! I'm excited too. I have been dreaming this up for months. So I'm glad it's finally here. And then you'll have something so cute to put up for October. So excited, yay. I was thinking about making this like purple and green. I almost did it. I could see Louise doing that. Are you still here, Louise? She always does color, tons of beautiful colors. But I almost did like purples and greens and oranges, and then I thought, okay, maybe I won't. Maybe next year. She's here. So tell us, are you using color? That's the question. But I just thought it would be fun. I also thought it might be fun to do this like black and gray, but I thought that just would be really hard to see on the camera. So I didn't think that that would be an ideal situation for anyone. Okay, I think I'm just gonna do one more and then I will call it a day. Okay. How do we feel? Do you guys feel confident that you can continue this? See, look how nice it looks. That's our one. That's kind of crazy, but. All right. Finally, I'm in an empty nest and got my own sewing room and starting a wall of stitch along projects. Oh my gosh, I love that idea. I have like no space. We live in a tiny house with 3 kids and I have no space in my house for anything extra. Okay, so we're gonna do this part and this part tomorrow. So if you have, what, honey? You got hurt? Yeah. Okay, come here. So we're just gonna do the tower, this side, and this gable right here today. What happened? Okay, can you go get a wipe? Yeah, so we'll do that today, and then we'll do more stuff tomorrow. More satin stitch tomorrow. I'm sorry, it's boring. But will you help him? His arm is bleeding. He's fine. He's not hurt. But anyways, watch my stories. I'll post like what to finish, and then I'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, so this same time, and we'll do some more satin stitch. So I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining in. Let me know if you have any questions or problems.
Why are you room?
Yeah, they're in my room. Go get them. Sorry, he'll be at preschool tomorrow. But yeah, tomorrow, 10 a.m., same time as today. And let me see how it's going. Post online, tag me. I can't wait to see. Everyone wants to see what colors you're using, especially if they're different than mine. So anyways, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.